there is a level of cruelty and depravity that exists among some of the wolf hunting crowd. The minute Oregonians see a trophy hunter beaming as he holds the dead body of an Oregon wolf,
I understand.
It's going to blow up into something really bad.
Okay, Facebook, social media, yeah, it's brought a whole new world to us. And anybody can put up any video, and we can't do much about it. But when you say the word horrific, and you say you just, wait till you see this guy with this wolf and his big grin. A lot of you have maybe never seen a field with 30 dead sheep and how horrific that might look. There are other elements and other visuals that could be put up as well. And I don't care if it's a cougar, I don't care if it's a coyote, I don't care if it's a wolf. We are dealing with predators. And the situation is we have urban areas and we have other species. And so we've got to find the system that protects the humans, because I've seen a child hurt as well by a predator that was close into an urban area.
I just want to echo what Representative McLean said. The most horrific videos I have ever seen in my entire life are of wolves eating live ungulates. Animals are still alive and the wolves are pulling their entrails out. They're destroying them. They're still alive. They're struggling. So we need to be very careful when we talk about, we can't control what a hunter somewhere puts on Facebook. But I will tell you the worst things I have ever seen, ever, are pictures of wolves eating living animals. So, I think we just need to, not use that as a ploy to the public. It goes both ways.
I agree that you have to watch your terminology here, folks. And I mean carefully watch your terminology. I think people brought up, Representative Whitson brought up a real good example of, have you ever seen an animal bitten, eaten while it's alive? And the other thing is, when this population grows, what's wrong with having tags? And what's the problem in Idaho? Is there a big outcry in Idaho because somebody puts a wolf on Facebook? I don't think so. They seem to get along just fine out there. So I just want you to be aware of what you're saying and be careful.
Since we have a lawsuit when the Wildlife Commission decided to delist, so do you want them to review everything again and then come up with another decision? And is that what you're after?
Basically, in the future, I don't know what the process is going to be. If we feel that they've responded to our concerns and looked at all the science, there would not be justification to bring a lawsuit.
The only answer is your answer. The only answer, you're telling this group and this legislature that unless the answer is what you want, then you're going to sue.
I'm Stan Steele. I'm a native Oregonian, grew up the McKenzie River on the Lieberg Fish Hatchery. I'm an ODFW brat, so to speak. My dad's was a wooden drift boat builder. Matter of fact, his boat's in the Smithsonian. I go back generations of working with enforcement. My uncle was an Oregon State Police Fish and Wildlife officer, and that's where my 25-year professional career was. But more than that, I'm an Oregonian who deeply loves our natural resources. History does have a way of repeating itself. We had a newspaperman from Roseburg, Oregon, Carl D. Shoemaker, who sat in a room just like this and decided, how can we better fund natural resource conservation across America, and specifically in Oregon? He was a commissioner, like Chair Finley. Hence was born the Pittman-Robertson Act, which is providing us with millions of dollars. But those are in addition to license fees. And a license fee is a voluntary contribution. In other words, they're going to say, well, no, it's not. Well, if you want to participate, you have to pay. So it's a user pay, but you really don't have to participate. The hunters across the nation and across the world, anglers across the nation and across the world, have chosen to pay for their recreational opportunities.
My name's Kurt Melcher. I'm a native Oregonian. In fact, a 7th generation Oregonian. And I'm new to this role with the department. I was hired officially as the department director on Friday, February 13th, a little under a year ago. So hopefully that's not a bad omen, but Friday the 13th, I was hired by the commission, who our chair is here, Mike Finley. But I'm not new to the department. So I've been a career department employee. I started with the department as a seasonal employee in 1985. Lifelong hunter and angler. Fishing and hunting is a critical piece of our portfolio, if you will. Pittman-Robertson was passed in 1938, so we've had over 75 years now of Pittman-Robertson-related conservation efforts funded by purchasers of arms and ammunition. Been an incredibly successful model. It was advocated for by an Oregonian, Carl Shoemaker. On the heels of Pittman-Robertson, the Dingell-Johnson Act, which similarly puts a federal excise tax on recreational fishing tackle, was passed in the early 1950s. So we have now both arms and ammunition and recreational fishing tackle excise taxes that come back to the states to do fish and wildlife management. This has been incredibly successful model, and I know I've read at least a few times in some of the popular media that the model is broken, that this model of funding fish and wildlife work is broken. We don't subscribe to that. We actually think the model is and will continue to be a successful model, but we're asking it to do too much. At the time the model was developed, let's face it, fish and wildlife management activities in Oregon as well as in the United States were a whole lot simpler. We have 600,000 licensed purchasers. So 600,000 folks purchase licenses to pursue fishing activities in the state of Oregon. About 500,000 of those are residents, and about 100,000 of those are non-residents. They spend an estimated 8 million days afield. So it's a lot of time, a lot of recreation. Similarly, on the hunting side, we use the federal excise tax revenues as well as hunting license dollars to manage hunting opportunities, to manage the species that are hunted across the state. These include upland birds, waterfowl, full range of big game, deer, elk, cougars, bears, now wolves. Wolves were removed and are now considered a game animal in Oregon, so we're able to use license dollars as we manage the expanding wolf population. And we have about 220,000 hunters, 220,000 individuals that purchase hunting licenses in the state of Oregon. Some of those are non-residents, most of them are residents, and they spend several million days afield. It's, again, like fishing, it's a significant recreational activity. And what we learn and what I've observed in 30 years in this career and looking back over the history, reading historical documents from the 1920s and 30s, any successes we have now they're always the result of actions that were taken, not even on a decadal scale, but on a generational scale. It truly is fish and wildlife, with few exceptions, and there are a few, but they don't respond in a year or 2 years. It takes decades or sometimes generations to really see the response. So when you look at, I am going to drone on here on this one a little bit. When you look at elk in the state of Oregon, by the 1920s, elk were nearly extirpated. There was only a handful of elk left in this state, and it's only through good management, closed seasons, some transplants, that elk are truly abundant. We could all get in the van right now, or the bus, I guess. Take a bus, and we could drive. Right now, I could drive to a place and we could go look at elk. I mean, that's how abundant elk are in Oregon. There's a large number of success stories on the wildlife side. Cougars are truly a success story, and with success comes conflict, but cougar management in Oregon is a success. By the mid-1960s, we estimate there's only 200 cougars in the state. They were moved from predatory animal status to wildlife game species in the mid-1960s. The commission implemented protective measures, started managing cougar populations. Cougar population recovered, expanded to 3,000 animals. Of course, now, and this is where I say success leads to conflict, we have an overabundance of cougars in Oregon. Any way you slice it, we've got the science. We have a lot of cougars in Oregon. We have an overabundance of cougars in Oregon. Any way you slice it, we've got the science. We have a lot of cougars in Oregon.